It's strange how certain nights never leave you, how they get etched into your memory so vividly that even years later you can still hear the sounds, smell the air, feel the pulse of your own heart racing in your chest. And I swear to you, the story I'm about to tell isn't just one night, but a series of nights, each one more disturbing than the last. And it all started almost 10 years ago, when I was still living with my parents in the house I grew up in. A modest little place where I shared a bedroom with my older brother until he went off to college, and I finally got the space to myself. But after college, when we both ended up back home, he reclaimed that room, and I was forced to move into the upstairs guest bedroom that sat awkwardly above the garage, with thin walls, 2 windows that seemed to stare into the night like empty eyes, and a floor that shook whenever the garage door opened. It wasn't ideal, but it was private, and I told myself I could live with the eerie creaks and shadows, until that one Friday night when everyone else was gone. My brother at a work conference, my parents at the shore house, leaving me completely alone. And around 11:30, as I lay in bed trying to wind down, I heard the unmistakable sound of the garage door grinding open below me, the floor trembling with every second it took to rise, and that's when my stomach dropped, because no one was supposed to be home. No one at all. And as the realization settled in, my pulse exploded in my ears. I leapt to the window and peered down, but the driveway was swallowed in darkness, and I couldn't see anything beyond the yawning black rectangle of the open garage. So I grabbed the old baseball bat from the closet, my only weapon, and crept downstairs, even as every nerve in my body screamed at me to stop. At first I tried to rationalize it. Maybe the door malfunctioned. Maybe my parents came back early. Maybe my brother's plans changed. But then I heard them, faint voices, too low to make out the words, but clear enough to know there were at least 2 men inside, and my blood turned to ice, because whoever they were, they didn't belong. And suddenly I was dialing 911, whispering my address, leaving the line open like the operator told me. But against every bit of common sense, I ignored the order to hide, and instead stalked toward the voices, gripping the bat so hard my hands hurt, until I reached my parents' bedroom and heard drawers sliding open, belongings being tossed around, the sound of strangers searching for something valuable. And without thinking, I roared at the top of my lungs and charged in, swinging the bat wildly. The look on their faces, pure shock, told me they hadn't expected anyone to be home, let alone someone stupid enough to fight. And I cracked the first man's leg before the second slammed into me like a truck, knocking the bat loose, his hands wrapping around my throat as the other crawled closer, with what looked like a knife. And in that moment I accepted death, the terrifying clarity of knowing I wasn't going to survive, until faint sirens in the distance broke through. The man grabbed the bat and smashed it into my head, and everything went black. When I woke, a police officer was kneeling beside me, telling me I was lucky to be alive, the back door wide open, the intruders long gone. And though I lived, something inside me changed, because I knew they hadn't just stumbled upon our house. They knew exactly how to get in. They knew the garage opener in my unlocked car. They knew our family's habits. And that thought haunted me more than the attack itself, because it meant whoever they were, they knew us personally, or at least well enough to study us. And maybe they were still watching. For a long time I thought that night was the peak of my fear, but I was wrong, because months later, when I moved into a small duplex closer to my aging mother, something else happened. Something that proved to me this wasn't random. On one night, just as I was settling in to watch TV, I got a call from a local number, a woman's voice saying she was a nurse at the ER, and that my mother had been brought in after a fall, that she'd hit her head, that she was asking for me, and without hesitation I rushed out the door, heart in my throat, praying she'd be okay. But when I arrived at the hospital and asked for her, the nurse at the desk told me no one by that name had been admitted that night. And when I called my mom, she picked up groggy and confused, perfectly fine, at home in bed. And that's when the horrifying realization hit me. Someone had lured me out of my house on purpose. Someone who knew my mother's full name, her surgery history, her address, details no stranger could know. And when I raced back home, my worst fears came true. The place had been ransacked, electronics gone, jewelry gone. But what unsettled me most were the bizarre things missing. Family photos stripped from their frames, prescription bottles emptied out. Intimate pieces of my life stolen not for money, but for something far more personal. And I knew then whoever had broken in wasn't after valuables. They were after me, my identity, my past, and my future. I wish I could say that was the end of it. But it wasn't. Because not long after, living alone in a rental, another night brought a knock at my door. Not a knock actually, but heavy pounding, shaking the frame like someone was desperate to get in. And when I cautiously opened the main door but kept the screen locked, a man stood there, wild-eyed, sweaty, erratic, insisting this was his house, that I was trespassing. And at first I thought he was on drugs or insane. But then he began describing details about the interior of the house he shouldn't possibly know. How the master bedroom door slams into the toilet, how the back door sticks unless you lift it, intimate things only someone who had lived there would ever know. And then he pulled out documents, a lease agreement with his name on it, pieces of mail addressed here, even photos on his phone of him inside, sitting on my couch cooking in the kitchen, lying in the bedroom I slept in every night. Pictures that looked disturbingly recent. Can I swear to you, in that moment I questioned my own sanity, like maybe I was the intruder in my own home, until I threatened to call the police, and his demeanor changed instantly. He smiled, calm now, and walked away into the night, leaving me staring into the darkness, heart racing. And when the police came, they brushed it off as some unstable man. But then 2 weeks later, I came home to find the place torn apart, every drawer dumped, every surface overturned, yet nothing valuable taken, which meant they weren't searching for money. They were searching for something specific, something connected to me. And once again, the locks were changed, cameras installed, and I told myself it was over. But deep down, I know it isn't. Because the photos he showed me, the way they knew my family, the way each incident seemed calculated, personal, and deliberate, all of it points to something I can't explain, something that feels less like coincidence and more like design. And now every night when I lie in bed, I can feel it, the weight of being watched, the certainty that whoever has been inside my homes, whoever has studied my life, whoever has stalked me across years and houses, isn't finished yet. And the scariest part is that sometimes when I close my eyes, I imagine them standing just beyond the door, patient, waiting for the perfect time to come back. Don't forget to subscribe to watch more videos like this. Thank you.